All right. Well, we got like 5 viewers now. Okay, it's a little bit different than we usually do, everybody. Welcome to our drink and think. I have some wonderful guests with me today from the Propagated Podcast. We're doing face cam today. And so we have Daniel Franklin and we have Frankie Larson. Although you probably know, Daniel says he's never on Twitter, so you maybe don't know Daniel except for the podcast. Although Frankie is better known as the human houseplant and is along Twitterverses indeed. So, is there anything else you would like to tell the audience about yourselves?
Go ahead, Frankie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we have our podcast, Propagated Podcast. We talk about plants, but we talk about plants and plant adjacent things. Like we just recorded an episode today on rum and sugar substitutes. So that was pretty fun. We talk about history of plants. We talk about blights. We're going to talk about lawns. We're going to talk shit about lawns soon, which is very exciting.
Can't wait to hit up the grasses. That's Frankie's favorite topic.
Yeah. Poa-CE.
Oh, really? I like it.
I love grass.
I don't know anything about grasses. It's terrible.
I mean, I like to pretend I know things, but I really just think it's pretty.
Nope, that's fine. That's fine. I'm terrible with grasses. Yeah. As my handle may show, I'm a phytologist, not a botanist, which is not the same. Which most people think the same thing, but it's not the same thing, because usually when folks are like, "Oh, you know plants, right?" and I'm like, "Yeah." So I usually get a picture of a weed or something in someone's garden, and they're like, "What's this?" and I'm like, it might be in this family, maybe, I think. Because the best way I can describe it is an anthropologist and a physician both study people. But an anthropologist is more like a botanist, and a physician is more like a phytologist. Does that make sense?
So more, I guess, more kind of like the inner workings than the actual plant itself.
Yes. So a lot of what I work, so my specialization is in specifically, I say phytology is a technical term for plant biology because I think it sounds, but no one uses it. But I think it sounds cooler. But I'm a molecular biologist and a geneticist and a microbiologist. So everything on the very smooth. And so I mostly work with plant pathogens and the plant immune system in a general sense. And then I work with specific species of that nature. But that also means that when it comes to botany sort of things and what this particular family of this particular tree that you saw at the one, co-op is, means I know next to nothing. I'm usually, so I appreciate Frankie a lot on, I farm out my houseplant questions.
Yeah,
I get.
I can do that. Like in our episode today, Daniel was like, "So is that xylem and phloem?" And I was like, "I don't know, but I can tell you the name of this houseplant."
See, this is so good, right? See, you gotta have both, right?
Yeah, between the three of us, we've got it all covered.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, it's perfect.
I'll talk about the anatomy of the inside all day. All day.
And I just have surface knowledge of both, so it's great.
See, there you go. It's perfect.
You're big in the history. You've got the history.
Yeah, I like the history.
You're like in China in 2000 BC.
No, that's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Because that's also part of it. Because that's almost more of the how plants and humans meet, but also the ecology, and so. But it's just funny to me because I think a lot of times, it doesn't surprise folks, but I don't think they ever really think about it when they're like, it's like, oh, you're a plant person, therefore you must know everything about plants ever, right? And then I'm like, well, think about this even from the medical field studying humans. You have oncologists and pediatric people and cardiologists and urologists and gastroenterologists. And I'm like, you have that many people for just a human, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And each one has gone to lots and lots of school to specialize in just like an organ. So Let's
and the
think
plant
about
world's
this
vastly larger.
Yeah, exactly.
Vastly larger.
Vastly larger.
And I feel like plants are I feel like I have this theory that people have so many people have in their head, just like when they think of plants, it's just this one very specific thing.
Oh, yes.
And it's like that's also why I really like wanted to start our podcast, is because it's like, no, plants are everything all around us. What you eat, what you drink, what you breathe. Like, it's all just so interconnected and so complicated. And plants have what, 26, 27 senses, something like that.
We talked briefly about that. Plants are fucking wild, honestly.
Yeah. Bananas.
Oh, yeah. It's bananas. It's one of the reasons I've been doing a stream for like 2-something years.
Yeah, you never run out of things to talk about.
Absolutely not. Yeah, because and you're completely right. There are not a lot of, and I started listening to your podcast some, and I appreciate like where you sort of come at it and looking and doing your own research and how excited both of you are about it. And because I know about a lot of plant podcasts, but they're all for like plant nerds. Does that make sense? So they're very, very high level, which, I mean, there's still places for that. Like In Defense of Plants has been around for a very, very long time, but it's a lot more technical. It's very much a deep dive on Matthew Candeas on plants and plants in general. The Taproot is done by the American Society of Plant Biologists, and that's a little bit more of, instead of focused on plants, more like focused on plant sciences and doing a career in the plant sciences, and how do you build that sort of thing, and giving resources to people within that sphere, which is good and very helpful. Then there is, oh shoot, I know there was a little one that somebody did in the lab, which was like plants and pipettes for a little while. And then there are also the field guides, which are they're two ecology guys, Bill and Steve, they're super fun, but they don't do just plants, although they do plants quite often because Steve's kind of a plant guy. But they're sort of outside in the field, wandering around looking for stuff, and then talking about whatever they kind of feel like. And so that's a little bit more in general sort of thing of like, if you like nature. And what else? Crime Pays, but Botany Doesn't. And that's done by Joey, who is a train driver originally from Chicago and just freaking loves botany. And
that's seems unusual, but also really awesome. He's kind of into it.
He's incredibly funny. I will say his humor is very blue. And there's a lot of ranting, and a lot of cursing. But if you like brutally honest rants and curses, that's also a good one to check out. And he does some videos and stuff, and he just says whatever the heck he's feeling most of the time. But he gets obsessed with different groups over time. So he's just like, all right, just like, we're going to talk about nothing but cactus for like these next 5 months, all different things I'm learning about cactus. And then we'll move over to some other group and just sort of just rant and rave about it. And it's very casual and very funny. So those are for everybody else recommendation on like, pick your poison. There's so many things. Recently, my husband and I, with our friend Action Economist, just finished episode podcast. So what ours is, which Daniel, I don't know if you're a D&D person. I know Frank.
I am, and I'm not. I'm kind of a newbie.
Played a few times with me.
I'm kind of a newbie, but I enjoy it.
Okay, good.
You were there when I DM'd for my first time.
Yay!
I was.
I love your earrings, by the way, Frankie. Those are amazing.
Thank you so much.
I have like
pretty much everything I own is plant themed at this point. I'm just like, you know what? Let's just go with it.
Mine is plant and moths, and for some other reason that are mostly D&D reason. So our podcast is called Natural 20, where we talk about D&D monsters, but how would they work if they existed?
Oh, that's cool. That's fun.
Like biologically wise, so it's like Natural 20 Podcast, but it's like spelled out like 20, like the word 20. But we did the owl bear first, Boulette, Rust Monster. So we like to talk about, like, Ethan does the history and lore behind them, right? Where they came from, all the stuff in game and out of game. And then I do the biology of are there real world equivalents, right? Or something similar. If they exist.
Shambling Mound is kudzu.
Right. Actually, we did talk about that. We did talk.
Did you really?
Yes. Yeah, so our last. So that's what I didn't get to it, but our very last episode was about the Shambling Mound, right?
Love it.
And
awesome.
It was like 2.5 hours long.
Nice.
And because I have been avoiding doing a plant one because I knew this was going to be like, but a couple of my friends are like, you should do a plant monster one, and I'm just like, you all ready for this? Are you sure you're all ready for this? You know.
I hope you all are buckled in because it's going to be a long ride.
We're gonna go. But yeah, I'm just like, I'm not sure you're prepared. But yeah, that was very fun. But we talked about how it could be kudzu, right? Kudzu, Razorvine, Wisteria, you know, something. Mm-hmm.
Wisteria is a pretty version of it, at least.
Yeah, Wisteria is pretty. It still eats buildings, though.
Yeah.
Very true.
It's a beautiful building eater.
Happy Pie Day, chat. Yay. It is Pie Day. I was really sad I didn't get pie, but that would require leaving my house, and I don't want to do that.
That's true. Actually, I know because Takun in there is my tech person. Maybe he can bring me pie, and by pie I mean pizza, because that's what we have upstairs.
Ooh. Into that.
Which I think
into all versions of pie,
counts,
really.
Right? Yeah, pizza pie. Pizza pie.
Yeah. Actually, at work we had pie day because I'm in charge of our like little engagement committee at work. So I brought in bunches of pie. So we all share. So some of us on site shared pie, and then we had virtual pie because we used to have a pie eating contest before COVID. So instead,
Thanks,
now
COVID.
everyone had.
So thanks, COVID.
Thanks, COVID. No pie eating contest. So instead, I had to have individual little slices and little things, right? And then have everyone pick those up, and then we had a virtual pie get together. But it was still nice, though.
I love that. I think my favorite kind of pie is just gotta go with the classic cherry pie. I love cherry pie.
Cherry pie is really good. It's really good. I'm probably more of like the real like true Southern and like strawberry rhubarb. It's probably gonna be one of my favorites for sure. If not that, then blueberry.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite is red raspberry rhubarb. Is nice.
Ooh, yum.
Great.
Have y'all ever had chess pie?
Yeah.
I made that for the first time last Thanksgiving, or I guess 2 Thanksgivings ago. And it's just like basically cream and sugar, but it's so good.
You know?
Tastes amazing though.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe! Sorry, one of my friends back from college is in here. Yay, Joe!
Hi.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's a motive.
Okay, I have to say though, speaking of plants,
yes,
dessert with herbs like blueberry rosemary is like tops.
Nice.
Love
nice,
it.
Nice. Love it.
Or like lemon and thyme cookies.
Yeah,
so
I do. I'm a big fan. What was the kind of cookies that the Swedish bakery makes? Aren't they like, it's like lavender and something? What is?
Oh, lavender.
Lavender and cardamom cookies.
Oh, yum.
Yeah, right.
Perfect.
Like
That
that's
looks like a
just
disgusting
like
face, but I'm like, this is like yum. This is my yum face.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
your,
Oh,
like,
it sounds so good.
so excited you're disgusted with yourself kind of face.
Yeah, exactly. Because I would eat the whole thing. Peach pie. Ooh. Jeremy says peach pie.
I'm a big fan.
I don't know that I've ever had peach. I don't think I've ever had peach pie.
How has this not happened? How has this not happened?
I don't know. Born and raised in the South, I don't think that I've ever had peach pie.
Yeah, I gotta go make pie now.
I got things to do.
Peach cobbler is pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, yum.
I am a big fan. I'm a big fan of the Midwestern crisp, which is I want to have pie, but I don't want to make crust.
Oh, I love making crust. I just make crust all the time, and I'm like, I don't know what to put in here. I'll just leave it as a crust, and then it sits in my freezer and gets freezer burned.
See, that's
This is
the
an
thing.
interesting thing. I feel like you're the only person I've ever met that openly talks about loving to make crust.
Well, I just like the
everybody's
science
bane.
of it. You know, like, although I did ruin 2 loaves of bread this week and cried about both of them.
Oh, no.
I used old yeast, and I think it just fell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pie crust can be really tedious. Make graham crackers today so I can make graham cracker custard. Yeah, graham custard crust is good, but yeah. No, as I said, the Midwestern solution is like, I want pie, but I don't want to make crust. So what I'll do is I'll take all the filling of the pie, and I'll put it in a baking dish, and then I will just take, butter and graham cracker crumble, put that on the top, and call it good, right?
The southern version of that is just essentially putting biscuits on top and making cobbler instead of graham crackers.
See, that's that's the difference between the crisp and the cobbler. But it's basically the same thing. Basically the same thing, except it's just faster pie.
Have you ever grown rhubarb? Anyone?
I have.
My grandparents have. I haven't.
Is it easy or difficult? I'm just getting into growing vegetables, and I don't know the hierarchy of vegetables.
Rhubarb is quite easy.
Rhubarb's pretty easy. Put it in a very sunny place. It doesn't mind it hot. It really doesn't. Put it in a sunny place and give it plenty of space, because if it does like it, it will just get huge. So I remember my parents put in a couple small rhubarbs, and my dad had like a little patch, and he had to keep making the patch bigger because it just kept expanding. And we had like the rhubarb on one end and the horseradish on the other. And there were things in between the two at one point.
But
however, which one won?
Right now, they're still competing for dominance right now in between.
Gotcha.
In the middle. They've hit each other in the middle, and now they're just going out, and so my dad's like digging up the yard in the different spaces. So, but they need very little.
My grandparents grew horseradish one year, and it is prolific, but grinding horseradish is hellish. It's like pretty much making your own version of tear gas while you're grinding it. It's a lot.
Yeah. You'll rue this bar. I will not rue the bar back in Grimes. I love rhubarb. But no, yeah, it is. I was grinding my own horseradish because I had some at our old house. And we only had a 600 square foot duplex apartment, and it filled every room, and I could not see or smell or anything, and I'm just just the tears and the snot and just just constant I'm this is. I've never had this experience in my whole life, but my sinuses have never been cleaner.
Yeah, clears you right up for sure.
It was ridiculous. Just this fresh stuff is just whoa, it's potent stuff. Yikes.
Yeah. Oh, my allergies have been a lot this spring. I am very allergic to hyacinths, and it's it's almost time for them, and all the daffodils and everything. It's just the smells, my nose.
My springtime allergies aren't usually that terrible. It's usually for me the fall when the grasses start to bloom. I'm a wreck. Ragweed and grasses ruin me.
Yeah, a lot of people think, I've heard this is sort of because ragweed, it really gets a lot of people, but some people think it's goldenrods most of the time, which they're incorrect, because goldenrods really don't do that and I know they look kind of similar depending on the goldenrod, because there's because the ragweed's got that big sort of flower spike, but that's green, versus goldenrod is gold, but there's 7 species of goldenrods, and then golden alexanders, which aren't the same thing. They're little round ones, pretty round ones. But yeah, everyone's oh, it's goldenrod. I'm just nah.
That was when I lived in New Mexico. Everyone always blamed the chamisa, but then everyone who lived there was chamisa particles aren't big enough to get into your nose and cause allergies. Pushing your glasses up, going, well, actually, chamisa.
Here on our local news, they actually have a ragweed index in the fall time, telling you how bad the ragweed is likely to be that day.
How come I've never
because it
seen
affects
this?
so many people. It's on News 13.
Make it an app.
Love it.
Get a developer on the phone.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite videos was one of the ones where it was it showed like a pine tree that they were, going to cut down or something like that. And it was right when it was like setting off pollen, and they hit it, and there's just this huge cloud of pollen that's like tree shaped. Like,
oh yeah, it was. I've seen a few of those videos, and it's ridiculous looking. It's an entire massive cloud of pollen.
It's just like
very
oh my
big.
gosh.
And then you're like,
There's this artist, I don't remember his name, but he did an exhibit in the MoMA or the Met, I don't know. Anyways, so he collects pollen and then makes these giant yellow squares, like exhibits, like giant yellow, like the size of houses.
Wow.
Oh wow.
And like there's this video, I think it's on YouTube, of him just collecting all the pollen, and he's just walking around going, it's like, I'm like, well, this is the most calming thing ever, but I could not do it. I would die.
Yeah, that must be that's a labor of love right there. That's a lot. I can't imagine the amount of time that must take.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I think that reminds me. So I used to, when I was in grad school and I'm trying to figure out infection rates for the pathogen I'm studying, and it infects roots. And so I had put a gene within my pathogen that allowed that if it did a successful infection, the roots turn blue. And so because of that, I'm counting, so the little tiny root segments about, between, like 5 millimeters to a centimeter. And the little white root segments under the microscope, and I am counting the number that are blue versus the number that aren't, and to figure out transformation rates figure out infection rates over a course of a dilution series. And that was basically like, of the 6 years I was in grad school, I'm pretty sure at least 3 of them were just doing.
Woof. That's a lot of time.
Which is just counting roots. This is one of the reasons that I listen to all the D&D shows. So many audiobooks. So many audiobooks, all of the podcasts. Just all of the podcasts. So then after I got a real job, I'm like, oh, I'm so behind. And I'm like, wait. It's because I interact with humans now. And I'm not just sitting under a microscope for 12
counting roots.
Yeah, counting roots for 12 whatever hours. So that's always it's always a fun time. Gosh. Do you have any other? Do you have any? Okay, what is it? Sorry, there were some questions, so now I've got to think. Okay, Acking Rhymes, who got after me for being formal, but we got to say the whole thing. Frankie, do you have any par baking pie beans?
Like blind weights? I have some pie weights that I put for blind baking. I think that's probably what you're asking. I do. I use them very frequently because my pies always shrink. And no one likes a soggy bottom.
It's true. It's true. No one really does. Ethan, aka Takun, aka my technomancer, aka my husband, called rhubarb blood celery, which is funny, and I like it.
Blood celery.
That is a fun way to talk about it.
Would rhubarb work in a Bloody Mary?
It would be sweet if you like sweet.
Yeah, but also like tart too, so I think it'd be good. I mean,
I don't think it tastes bad. Yeah. It would look pretty.
It's true. It's true. I got in trouble for
Well,
being
Daniel
formal.
goes back to work at the bar in a month, so.
Look at you! Do you work at a bar, Daniel? I'm jealous now.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't be.
Oh. Woof, okay.
No, I'm joking. Bartending is a lot of fun, but it has its moments for sure, as does every job.
Yeah. Daniel makes the best margaritas.
Ooh, now I need to get one of these. That's the one.
I'm a tequila drinker, so that's my go-to.
Yeah.
See, I can drink an alarming amount of margaritas in a short period of time.
When I was a little bit younger, I could too, and now my heartburn is just like, I'm sorry, you wanted to ingest several ounces of lime juice? I'm going to go ahead and tell you no to that. Sorry. Every once in a while, I'll still deal with the pain. I do love a good margarita.
Oh, I can't wait to come visit you at work again.
I know, it's so soon.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually how we met. I was a regular at his bar, and then we discovered we liked the same fantasy books and the same plants. So,
yep.
You know what? That is perfect, and I love it.
The basis of a great friendship.
It's been long lasting.
Yay!
Fantasy and plants. I feel like they just go so well together,
It's
they
true.
absolutely do.
It's true. I mean, I try to incorporate my plants and biology just in general as much as possible, especially because there's plenty of my players in this chat right now, so they'll tell you. Because I DM what's called Small Folk D&D, which is a homebrew setting put together by the Insight Check podcast folks, where everyone spays as little creatures. Imagine like Redwall. If you're familiar with Redwall.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. But I'm running a small folk version for. Oh no, we're coming up on like 2 years now. Oh my goodness. Of
Oh wow.
I know, right?
Time is weird.
Time is weird, right? Of Curse of Strahd, but instead it's Vampire Bat Strahd in Batrovia.
I love that. Batrovia.
Nice. Batrovia. Yep, small Strahd. Oh, yep, there's Ev. There's Bass. Aw, thanks, Ev. Aw, you're one of my players. Mwah. But because of that, I put in a lot of because that setting allows me to actually take biology and stuff, because a lot of the times it's one of the reasons I like when I do streams and I'm not doing a specific like theme, because sometimes I'll pick like topics like we talked about like pollinators last time, or we'll talk about like diseases, or we'll talk about the immune system, or we'll talk about plant-based proteins. So I did a collaborative stream with Pastability, who's one of my besties who does cooking with pasta, and he was cooking like plant-based burger, right? And then it's like, okay, how close is it to a real burger, right? You know, and what did they do right, what did they do wrong, and then how do you make that sort of stuff? And I talked about the technology behind it, right? And
love that.
You know, plant-based meat alternatives.
Yeah, I don't eat meat, so I've been doing a little experimenting myself.
The Impossible Burger is actually pretty good.
The Impossible Burger. I mean, I do eat meat, and I can eat an Impossible Burger and be totally chill with it.
Yeah, they did a good job. They did a good job. The making of the getting the leg hemoglobin was actually pretty complicated, but really worth it on the trying to get the umami flavor, trying to get the kind of burger kind of flavor texture, because plants make hemoglobin just like mammals do. But in this case, it's for them to help capture nitrogen from the air, and so nitrogen fixing bacteria, which makes symbiosis with legumes in these root nodules, is that you will have them colonize these root nodules. And what's interesting about, there's a very fine line between pathogens and symbiotes, because symbiotic fungus and symbiotic bacteria kind of have, it's like a controlled infection, right? And there are very specific rules to being roommates with these so the plant has a very specific, like, all right, you get to live here, but only here, and stay here, otherwise you're out, right? And you've got to pay rent. But in exchange for your room and board, right, you give me this stuff. And so because of that, it's really fascinating. So they call it leg hemoglobin just because it's legume, comes from legume, hemoglobin. But the heme part actually comes from bacteria, versus the globin part comes from the plant.
Oh, cool. And
so it's this composite protein that is put together and then helps like fix the different oxygen and those sorts of things. Air. You got to draw a line down the center of the cell. It's true. You joke, but it's almost exactly like that. Make a special compartment. You stay here. And so because of that, it is very similar to hemoglobin that we find in animals. But
interesting.
They had to isolate it from actual root nodules, but you would have to get the plants, you gotta pull them all up, you gotta get the nodules out, you gotta purify all that, and it was just super labor intensive, right? And you just lose tons and tons of money on it. So instead, they had to figure out how to make a composite protein, and then they engineered it into yeast. So now yeast makes it. So that was the only way to scale it up in a, actual way to like make money.
It sounds like a really cool process, though.
What, Daniel?
I said that sounds like a really cool process, though.
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't
no,
realize that I didn't realize that yeast was what allowed that to happen in the fake meats.
Well, I mean, a lot of our medicines now, like when they talk about gene therapy or antibiotics, they talk about like insulin or like rennet, for example. So rennet is used to come from calf stomachs, and that was what you used to help set up hard cheese, protein. But veal is not as popular right now, and also like humanitarian stuff. And so they figured out how to make rennet, but they just engineered yeast to do it.
Nice.
So the thing is when a lot of people are like anti-GMO, it's like actually you eat more GMOs than you think you do. A lot of your because technically all these engineered yeasts are GMOs, and so
Yeah, that's always been one of my soapboxes is people demonizing the use of GMOs when they don't actually understand what they're talking about at all.
Yep. My entire PhD was studying. So when I said I study a pathogen, I study Agrobacterium tumefaciens or Agrobacterium rhizogenes, which are the bacteria we use to make genetically modified plants or gene edited plants. And so it is the soapbox of my literal life. So it's like I would just pull it out, right? Sit and stand on it. But because of that, because how we used to do insulin. Now, of course, the reason it's so expensive now is because of corporate mumbo jumbo crap pharma things. But before, it was expensive because you actually had to kill hogs and purify insulin from hogs, and all that other stuff. But now you just make it in yeast.
I was gonna say fun fact, but that's not really that fun. That's not a fun fact. But it is an interesting fact.
Science fact.
But it's an interesting fact. So the thing is, because of that, So yeah, it was super labor intensive, right? But now it's it's especially because you can grow yeast in what's called like a bioreactor, which is kind of like a fancy big glass vessel, right? Which you pump air through, which is just like the fancy scientific way of like a keg.
Okay.
It's just it's control. It's got all the dials and whistles. It's keeping a live yeast culture going on, but you're really basically brewing beer. It's just you're getting the cells instead. You're isolating protein and other fun stuff out of it instead of just the waste product, which is the beer that you usually would have. So, fancy beer brewing. Ethan, welcome to Science Party. Yes, hello. I'm sorry, I took over again. It's what I do.
When you said legume, so I've been doing this elimination diet. That's why I'm, drinking fake beer, but I've discovered that what it is that is giving me migraines and making my gut so unhappy is legumes.
Oh no.
I can't eat legumes. And I'm like, how am I supposed to not eat meat and not eat legumes? So I don't know. My nickname is Beans and I can't eat beans.
No more beans.
That is so sad. Oh, how terribly sad. I'm sorry.
I know, and I got snap peas to plant this year too. I'm really sad.
You just have to share them with your friends, like me, because I love snap peas.
I got you. I'll give you some snap peas. I'm actually really glad it wasn't gluten though. I was worried it was going to be.
Oh
gluten.
Yeah, and then it was going to be real bad. It was going to be real bad. Yeah,
my diet
I think I would just have to live
bread.
with being sick all the time.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I would have to learn how to live with that.
Yeah,
I'm like, what do I know how to cook? Bread, spaghetti, pie crust.
Right? Yeah, your pie crust you love so much. Yeah, no, it was terrible. Yeah, I think, what is it? Yeah, I'm going to start my seeds and stuff soon, but I live in the great frigid north, so spring and summer happen way, way later for me. Although I did learn something the other day, and I didn't even realize it, is that hops is in the same family as cannabis.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even realize that. Cannabaceae, right? Because I've been working with some different stuff, like hemp and stuff like that. And then then it's like, oh, well, we might want to move into hops. I'm like, why are you moving into hops? It's like, oh, it's in the same family. I'm like, what?
When I was a florist, we had a groom that was a brewer, and he really wanted hops in his boutonniere. Mm-hmm. And I had never worked with hops before, and that shit is so sticky. I had like hops stick on my fingers for days. It was awful.
No, they're very similar in the way that they like look, and the stickiness on the hops is similar to cannabis. Very similar plants.
Yeah, well, and I've like in my head, I'm like, well, duh. Like, why didn't I ever figure this out before? You know, when I was thinking about it, especially as much as I like beer and cocktails, which I'm just like, why didn't I never put this together on my own? But boot and beer, very good very good air.
Yeah. Yeah. We're doing a cannabis episode for 420, and maybe we should do hops as well. That would be
that would be fun.
Yeah.
Because it's a pretty big, well, and also like, I know everyone thinks of like cannabis, they think of like the wacky kind, but it's really a pretty big family.
Oh, yeah, you know? Totally.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
As I said, because it's like, I only work with like the non-wacky kind, you know, and it's just, and because they've been bred so differently, they might as well be different plants. It's crazy.
Yeah.
How different their growth habits are, how different they act, you know, what light they like what
literally,
like all this other stuff, and I'm just like, why are you the way you are?
So cool.
But yeah, because of that, and I've also found, because I do a lot of tissue culture kind of stuff, like in the lab, where you can use different growth hormones and different types to basically, one of the reasons that plants are fun to work with and regenerate is that, so in humans and in mammals, we have, you know, stem cells, which actually that name came from the cells that were first discovered in plants. That's why they're called stem.
Oh, fun fact.
Didn't know that.
So stem cells, you have the embryonic kind, and then you have the, you know, the pluripotent kind. So pluripotent is, you, like in your bone marrow, you have stem cells that become all the components of the blood, right? Or the bone, right? Or you've got some that will become skin cells. But they are semi-determined, where it's like, I can become just this small group of things, right? But I can't become everything that you could possibly need. And so there's been a lot of research on induced pluripotency, which is the giving them the right proteins. And so in mammals and in humans and in animals, it's generally done by enzymes or proteins that signal, hey, you know, transcription factors, which are little gene switches that are like, hey, go do this or become this or whatever. And so if you give them the right cocktail, you can get them to be pluripotent again, right? And that's where they're like figuring out how to grow organs, right? Or how to grow different things for graft, you know, if you needed a graft or a transplant or something like that. Because if it comes from another person, the body is usually like, that's not mine. And you have to give the person a lot of drugs to beat down the immune system, right? And being like, don't reject this, please.
Yeah.
Versus if
I heard they're studying. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Because I went down, like I said, this rabbit hole about bees last night and watched like hours and hours of bee videos. Apparently they're studying royal jelly too, because royal jelly has this like incredible ability to replenish the stem cells of the queen bee.
Yep.
It's so cool.
Crazy.
Really
Bees
cool.
are fucking wild.
Yep.
Bees are wild. Sponsored by bees.
Yeah, sponsored by bees. Here you go. So then we have, so because of that, you can induce pluripotency, right? And then that's what they're trying to use, you know, to help people if you do need some sort of transplant or whatever, taking your own cells and making them into semi-competent, right, stem cells. They can't really get them to go all the way back, you know, because too many things have changed in between when you are a baby growing into womb to when now. But with plant cells are much more flexible. So most of the time, if they get hormone signals. So in animals, it's a combination between proteins and hormones. In plants, it's almost all hormones, right? All hormones and hormone signaling and small chemical compounds. It's also how plants talk to each other, is all chemistry, right? Aromatic compounds and chemical compounds. And so because of that, if you give them the right cocktail of hormone, you can basically induce any plant tissue to de-differentiate into stem cells, or what we call callus, which is undifferentiated, and then re-differentiate into something else. And that's what we do in tissue culture. And so when I say I work with explants, it's the reason I call them explants is they're not a real plant. They're tissue that I made into a different, you know. And so because of that, if you have callus tissue, you can either take a tissue and you can introduce a new gene, or in my case, we do gene editing, which is basically a molecular scissors that comes in and makes a particular change at a particular spot, or a particular mutation or whatever. And then you can take those cells and then redifferentiate them into new tissue, right? So into a shoot, into a root, into a whatever. And some are more amenable to this than others. Some species are easier to do than others. So because of that, there's a whole, it's like the people I work with who do a lot of tissue culture, it's one part science, one part art. Almost cooking too, because sometimes it's just a little tiny bit change of like, you've got to get like this, like, you know, you can only use like the first baby leaves, which are called the cotyledons, right? Between like this many days, because reasons. We usually don't know why, but it's like, you know, it's like
you don't know why, but you know it's that, you know that it's that time frame.
Right, exactly. It's like a lot of the time there's not really a clear answer of the why does this only work on hypocotyl tissue that's between 7 and 10 days old? We don't know. But it's got to be that, otherwise it doesn't work. And then you try to induce it into a more embryonic state, and then you add some other hormones, and then it makes a shoot. And then once you get your shoot, then you add rooting hormone, you make a root. Although I've been trying to do it the other way, where we start with roots and then do it the other way, and roots are very stubborn.
Yeah.
They like staying roots. They like staying roots, and they don't like becoming shoots. It's much easier to make a shoot turn into a root, but it's the other way around. It's like, no. So it's easier to have chlorophyll first and get rid of it than it is to not have chlorophyll and then get chlorophyll, which I think kind of makes sense. But the thing is root cells still have plastids, which are still chloroplast adjacent. You know, they have all the same things, but they don't have any of the green stuff anymore, and they have less of them. So plants are weird, y'all.
Plants are weird.
In the most beautiful way, though.
Yeah. And they're my friends. They're our friends. Friend to plants. I want to make a shirt that says friend to plants.
You should. I feel like that would sell well at the shop you work at.
Yeah. We have one that says Plant Daddy, and we have one that says Indoorsy, and it has plants on it.
I like it. I need to get these t-shirts. What is it? Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat.
Yeah.
So Uzamu says that's why IPA tastes like plant and Booten beer, which was very good. In response to you not being able to eat legumes anymore, beans. Ethan said something about brewing cheese when we were talking about rennet earlier. Oily, sticky, and dank, it's good. Hops, the rope kind. And then air likes the dim glow of a lava lamp, I bet. Thanks. Can pluripotent cells make me a tall boy? Probably not, Ooze. As much as that would be fun, I think that ship has sailed. That girl with honey says bees are just the best and agrees with us. Ooze says new this year, shoots and roots, the game. Wait, there's a shirt that says Plant Daddy?
Yeah,
I need
moonlightmakers.com. Or I guess it's shop.moonlightmakers.com.
Sorry, I need to get my pen. Where? Oh, no. All I have is a Sharpie here. Well, it'll work. What'd you say?
Frankie, I need you to make me one that says Plant Zaddy.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Nice.
It's if you Google Moonlight Makers or shop.moonlightmakers.com. We also have one that says Plant Mama, but I like Plant Daddy. I have a Plant Daddy shirt.
Moonlightmakers.com. Plant Daddy / Plant Mama. Love it.
Yes.
See, the thing is, I come up with this swag at work. Everyone's gonna be super jealous. They're already super jealous of. Postability actually sent me bedazzled lab glasses. They're lime green and they get. Yeah, exactly. I was wearing those over my regular glasses for my PPE at work, and everyone's super jealous. And I'm like, yeah, you should be.
I love a good bedazzled accent piece.
Yeah,
it's great.
Right.
I literally just recently bedazzled my own face. So
see,
definitely
Love it.
into bedazzling.
I have a clip we recorded like right after, and you accidentally touched it. I have a clip of you just going, ah!
Yeah, that shit fucking hurts for a couple weeks.
Oh no.
I felt so badly. I was like, "Are you okay? Are you still alive?"
I mean, I didn't rip it out. That's all that matters. It's good.
Yeah, the thing is, like, now since I got that, because it's Smarty Pants Wear, or Smarty Pants, like something like that, and they got all sorts of stuff. Let me double check, because they do have this shirt that I'm really tempted to get, but I'm pretty sure I can't wear it to work. And it's Smarty Pants Gear. Smarty Pants Gear. Again on Twitter, it's redefining the image of brilliance with fashion that makes brains and beauty shine. And so, but yeah, the bedazzled lab glasses are pretty great. Oh no, they retweeted me and put me on their thing. That's terrifying. They have a vaccinated shirt. Let's see, that's a good one. There's also one that says, what is it? I want to get this one really bad because I have 4 cats at my house, which is, it's a petri dish, and it says, microbiology, and but it looks like little kitty bacteria on the inside. That I think I can get for work. Because I am the resident microbiologist. Although the one that I really want to get, but as I said, I don't think I can wear it at work, is it says, "Are you a scientist?" and goes, "Bitch, I might be." And I'm like, maybe that won't work.
I love that.
Just put a little bit of tape over one of the letters in bitch and you'll be fine. Just a little bit of censorship, it'll be okay.
Smack a leaf on it.
Right. So Daniel, you said you're actually a professional cocktail nerd, not just an amateur one like me.
Kind of. Professional might be a stretch, but
do you get paid to make drinks?
I do.
You're professional.
I have for several years now.
That's the definition. That is the literal definition of a professional.
Yeah, but I should be going back to work full time. I'm working a couple days a week right now at a little dive bar. Mm-hmm. But I'm going back to my full-time job on April 8th.
Ooh, yay.
My boss is super dope. I'm going to give him a little shout out because he is waiting for all of us to be fully vaccinated before they open. Yay. So that's super dope of them.
Because people suck.
Yeah, literally.
It's true. Oh, Ethan says that I should change the shirt to Birch I might be.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh, that's good,
I
though.
love that.
That's good. Everybody loves a good pun.
Yeah.
I found a podcast this week. I haven't listened to it yet. Maybe someone here has, but it's called Arbitrary, and it's about trees. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the best name ever.
I'm writing this down. Arbitrary.
I'm so jealous of that name, honestly. That is such a good fucking name.
Yeah, why didn't I come up with this before? Yep.
Right?
Darn you.
Yeah, I think another favorite of mine, just because another couple favorites, which is a little bit of a diatribe, but it's the because I'm a pathologist, I also listen to This Podcast Will Kill You. And it's about the 2 epidemiologists and stuff, just because for funsies. And then let's see what else is Ologies is always a good one.
Ologies is so good.
Great.
Such a good podcast.
Although Ethan has a question. Yes, what is the most interesting botanical have you used or like in a cocktail?
Rosemary in my gin and tonic. So
that
good.
Is always great. Most interesting? I don't know. There's so many. Like the most interesting used in a cocktail, or the most interesting that I personally used in a cocktail?
Yes.
Because like if you look at gins,
why not both?
Then there are 500 different botanicals that go into different types of gin. Like probably more than 500, honestly. I think for me, probably I used to make an old fashioned with rye whiskey, and we used lavender in a smoker to smoke salt. So it was like a smoked lavender salted old fashioned, which sounds weird, but the sweetness of the rye with the touch of savory from the salt and a tiny little bit of orange made it really tasty. That's probably the most involved I've been have been using lavender. I did smoked rosemary is also really good though. In any gin drinks, I love a good aged gin, which I think not a lot of people give enough credit. Gin that has been aged in oak barrels is really sweet and really tasty, has its own really beautiful characteristics, and a nice bit of smokiness and rosemary in those kind of drinks is also really great.
Yeah.
But if you can name a botanical, it can be used well in some kind of cocktail.
You also use cayenne pepper in your hot toddies.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a given. Hot toddies are medicine. We've talked about, Frankie and I have said this for a long time. Hot toddies are medicine. They're not.
Yes.
That's just what they are. And adding a little bit of cayenne helps clean your nose up.
It's true.
It's great.
In referring to the old-fashioned with the smoked lavender, Ooze the Muse says, "God damn, that sounds delicious."
I need one now.
When you were talking about aged gin, Ethan says true, and then Geneva. We had Ginderella in Ghent, which is made entirely from botanicals harvested within the city limits of Ghent, Belgium, which is a different experience, but was
wow, so I've never had that. That sounds really interesting.
Really interesting. Yeah, for sure.
We have a gin distillery here that is so good. It's called The Chemist.
Yeah, The Chemist is great. North Carolina has a few now, actually. Cardinal gin is really good too. Their barrel rested gin is one of my favorites.
I think JD and Ooze are freaking out because they're asking, "Wait, you all are in Asheville?" ?
We are in Asheville.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think you might have some new friends from the.
Yay!
Ooze, once I'm back, I shall travel to buy a cocktail in Asheville. I will say, Ethan and my favorite for hot toddies is using a maple whiskey.
Yum.
That's called Vermont Night, that is made in St. Louis. That took 5 or 8 years, something long, to get more of it, and it's haunted his dreams forever. So when we did go visit a friend in St. Louis, we was like, we have to get it. And it's like, if we do nothing else while we're here. And I'm like, we are coming.
We are coming. Buy a case.
Yeah, it's like, we are coming to visit a friend, and he's like, yeah, that's side benefit. This has been haunting my dreams. JD Ooze, when all this jesters is over, we'll meet up on a road trip. Yes. So Sutler's Gin.
Yeah, plant meetup.
Plant meetup. Yep. Winston-Salem represent. My mom lives a bit north of Statesville, hour or so of Hickory. Oh gods, I auto-corrected Nick's the dash. Forgive me. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's all God.
Well, I'll go plant shopping and get cocktails from Daniel.
Love
See,
that.
there you go. I love it.
Or you could pick a day when I'm not at work and I could actually have fun, and I'll go get a cocktail with you. I'll take you to the fun bars to get nice cocktails at.
Yeah. How about when I'm not working? Then I don't have to feel left out. Love it. Yeah. No. Now I'm jealous because I'm so far away.
Yeah.
I'm so far away.
Asheville's a worthwhile trip, though. It's fun.
No, I believe it. I mean, I owe Ooze the Muse a fishing trip. I do. We've already talked about this for a while, so definitely when I'm down, when we're down there, we will do this after I throw him out of the boat because I also own that. But that's fine. But no, if you are ever up here in the great frigid north of Minnesota, you have a place to stay at my house.
Illinois. I know the Midwestern winters.
Yeah, I can't do the winters.
Don't miss it.
I get pissy about the winters here, so there's no way I could handle.
Oh, you may be.
No way I could handle a further north winter. I couldn't do it.
You may be Ooze's soulmate. I've never heard someone complain about cold weather so much in my whole life.
I literally want it to be between like 75 and 95 year round.
66.
That's it. Nah.
66
gross.
degrees is the perfect temperature.
I want to be able to, at any point of any day, go get into a body of water and not feel desperately cold when I am doing it.
Oh no!
That's all I want.
Daniel, watch yourself. We just got from Ooze. Yes, Daniel. And Ethan goes, so Florida.
I mean, if Florida weren't Florida, then yes. Sorry if you're listening in from Florida. I'm sure you're great.
No, it's okay.
Kind of wild.
Ethan's from Florida, and he will agree with you completely. He goes, winter rules.
Yeah, I just love sweaters too much. I mean, I don't know.
I do love me
I
some
couldn't live
good
in a hot
sweaters.
climate.
Oh,
I mean, I love a good snow, and but I feel like I could travel to see snow
mhm.
and be totally fine with it instead of being forced to see it.
Oh, you saying if Florida
love it.
weren't Florida? Ethan says, as a Floridian, true words, the Gulf Coast is a nightmare. So, no, versus me, I've always been Midwestern. Always lived there. Except for the few times we go down to Florida and Christmas. And they make fun of all the people wearing the heavy clothes while I'm out in my sundress that I get to wear once a year.
Yeah.
And sandals.
My mom lives in Florida and she keeps trying to get me to visit. And I'm like, now's not the time, mother.
No, it is not the time right now. It is not the time.
I'm
I'll see you next year.
about to have that second vaccine. It's probably time for a Florida trip, honestly. I want to go sit on the beach somewhere. It's warm.
Yeah, that would be nice.
We actually took a little beach vacation a few weeks ago, and it wasn't very warm, but we did get a golf cart, and that was very fun.
It was great. It was beautiful. It's a beautiful beach.
There was nobody on the island. It was amazing.
Nice. Love it. That girl with honey says, if you set your AC to very cold, you can still wear your sweaters.
That's true, but I don't like AC. Like, I don't know. It just like, I am barefoot, windows open all the time. And so when it's like 66 degrees outside, that's when it's perfect.
Nice. Nice. Nah, makes sense to me. I'm fine with it. I have all of the sweaters and stuff like that, which is fine, because as I said, I live in the cold places, so it's okay. Oh, JD Lady, AC gives me headaches. Oh, sad.
Yeah, me too. Ugh. It makes me so, I'm just like, my hands and feet, like whenever there's the AC on, it's just like right to the hands and feet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, I love AC. Not gonna lie about it. You just gotta run a humidifier with it and you're fine.
Yeah, that's true. I just got my first humidifier. It's been making my plants so happy.
Yeah, my
Yay.
humidifier has definitely improved the life of my plants significantly. And how often I have to water has gone down, which is also beneficial to somebody who tends to be an undercarer.
I know. I feel this as the undercare.
We just have to switch plants every other week or something.
It'd be
Because I'm an
perfect.
overlover.
It'd be perfect. We just gotta like trade off. I'll come to your house and pretend like I'm watering your stuff, but not actually do it. And then you can come to my house and actually water my stuff.
Like this.
Yeah,
Let's
no.
do it.
I've gotten very good at killing a variety of plants. I do have some nice succulents and other things that don't take a whole lot of care, or that every once in a while I get lucky and do really well for some reason. I think, what was it? My chaya, that I was like, oh, then it's like, oh, this is like, I misread it because I'd gotten this like cutting, and it's like, oh, it grows in like India and like Southeastern Asia, and it's got a similar like the leaves are edible and are similar texture like cabbage and stuff. And in my head, for some reason, I thought it would grow like cabbage. Instead, it's a tree, and it's become quite large in my plant room. And I'm like, I think I've made a mistake. So
This might have been a bad idea.
Yep. So eventually, if we run out of space, because it cannot survive up here, I may have to go to the local botanical garden and be like, look.
Do you want this?
Do you want
sorry,
this?
I can't do it anymore. It's too much.
Do you want to put this in part of your tropical experience because it's not going, it can't fit anymore. I need help.
Help me, please.
Yep, I'm like, please help me. Well, and that's why that's one of the reasons for the podcast Crime Pays but Botany Doesn't. Joey, what he does is what he calls himself as is a plant vigilante, which is because he lives in California and they have huge amounts of restrictions on where you can plant things and do stuff, and it's like huge fees and all sorts of other stuff. He just plants trees in the middle of the night without permission.
Oh, that's amazing. Allegedly, I would so be that person. 100%.
Allegedly.
Yeah, he raises.
I discovered. Sorry, go ahead.
No, he raises redwoods in his backyard until they get big enough, and then he just plants them all over the place.
Have you seen
pretty
Harold
cool.
and Maude?
No.
Harold and Maude. Oh, there's this scene where Maude just like goes to this mall and she just steals a tree and she's like, "It's not happy here." Like she's just like driving down the highway, police chasing her, which is like this tree in her back in her trunk of her car. 100% would do that.
Yep. Like part of me thinks as my retirement plan is I'm just going to be a tree vigilante as well.
I mean, I'm into that, honestly. I'm more of a mind that I would like go into cities and plant fruit trees. Because it's stupid that there aren't fruit trees in cities.
It's true. Well, it's stupid that all the trees in cities are the same.
Yeah.
Because why?
Well, but all plants are the same. Don't you know that one plant is the same as another plant?
Right. And it's cheaper if we just do all the same kind all the time until we get a bunch of diseases. You know,
why are the bees dying?
Why are the bees dying?
That definitely has nothing to do with monoculture, right? It doesn't
have anything to do with monoculture.
It's fine.
No, it's the GMO corn that's what's doing it. Because I've seen that.
It was the corn.
No, I've seen that where they're like, it's all the GMOs. That's what's killing the bees. I go, yes, because bees pollinate corn.
Right.
It's not the capitalism.
It's not the capitalism. It doesn't have
the capitalism.
It doesn't have anything to do with. It doesn't have anything to do with all the pesticides and herbicides and lawns.
Ugh, lawns.
With no.
I can't wait till we talk shit about lawns.
We can talk shit about lawns now. I will talk
Yeah.
shit. I will talk shit about lawns at any time, day or night. Anytime, day or night. I am slowly like. At our house, we live in this little woods and stuff like that. It was kind of like naturalized or whatever. And my dad's like, "You like some more grass?" And I'm like, "What you mean is I'm going to turn this whole area into the passerine, woodland area where I'm just going to sow a bunch of natives, right? And I'm just letting the black raspberry bushes just do their own thing right now, and I don't really care. And then I'm going to rip all this up, and I'm going to replace it with moss. And then I'm going to rip all this planted area, and I've already started to replace it with ferns. And eventually... there will maybe be one small patch of lawn in the front,
Yeah.
for the neighbors.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, who likes mowing? Second of all, grass is way more beautiful when it's seeded. Come on, as a grass fan, we've already covered that.
Right.
No.
Ooze is behind the vigilante produce, but also says looks at lawn that I'm trying to grow and hides. He likes mowing, though. I've still been getting after him. Extra hides. I like to mow.
I don't understand you people that enjoy mowing. I'm sorry. It's a horrible, horrible chore.
Ethan also loves to mow. That's why, but he's like only local fescue mixes. And he's also okay with me taking large swaths of the yard and making them not lawn anymore. So,
yeah.
Even if you take a small swath of the yard and make it not lawn, right? It's already better,
Yeah.
Plant some cone.
100%.
Yeah, it's like plant some coneflowers and some milkweeds for heaven's sake,
We're trying to do something with our lawn, and the ivy is just taking over all the like edges of the yard.
Mm-hmm.
And ivy's such a fucking thing to get rid of. Honestly, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I've been doing that this last couple weeks, and it's like. I pulled my shoulder because I was doing so much, and we have like 4 of those big yard bags full of ivy, and we've cleared like 2 feet.
It's crazy.
Ooze ass is the grass I'm growing is a mix of like 3 or 4 or 5 grasses. Is that okay?
Basically, like you want it to seed. Like your goal is to provide enough food for the local bees, and so cut grass really does absolutely nothing for the local ecosystem. If it looks pretty to you and you like it, then that's totally fine. But like when it's all lawns everywhere, suburbia, it's not good for any of the pollinators.
Yeah, ecologically, it's not doing anything but being aesthetically pleasing at that point.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is let a small patch of it. I know it's going to be hard for you, but don't mow it. You can mow the rest. But let a small patch just do its thing. And then you can have a little
corner.
Just like a corner, and that can be the bee area.
The bee area.
The bee area.
Oh.
And the thing is, like, yeah, you want to avoid, like, planting things that are invasive, and like sometimes it's difficult to get native plants, but if you talk to your local extension office or you talk to your local naturalist folks, you can usually find stuff. But usually just plants in general and just different kinds of plants, right, are better ecologically speaking. And it's you saw this video of my cherry tree. It's full of bees. Yes, it's very good. Hooray. And it's good. He's like, now, what I want you to do, don't mow under the cherry tree. You can do it. I believe in you.
You can even put rocks around it so that in your brain you're like, this is my dedicated bee area.
Yeah, right? Just have a little thing of rocks, right? Just a little circle. And everything just under the cherry tree.
And then next year, you could throw some wildflower seeds in there and have some grass mixed in with some wildflowers. Look really cute.
Beautiful.
Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. But yeah, I agree with you. Well, especially when it comes to one of the things that they do well up here in Minnesota is they don't mow the medians.
Roadsides.
Yeah. Roadsides.
Oh, that's wild.
And it's all just native flowers.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely mow the fuck out of Asheville.
Yeah.
Everywhere. So.
Well, the thing is it's like, it's less work and it's less money too, because the thing is that native plants and not mowing it is you get less erosion, better water retention, better carbon cycling and nitrogen cycling, and also it has ecological, benefits. And it costs so much less money because you're not paying people or anything to manage all of this stuff, right? And honestly, it's more interesting to look at. Let's be real, one of my we have all sorts of wild turkeys. We have a crazy number of wild turkeys.
We do too.
Yep.
Especially at my house, we have like a whole flock that just wanders about.
Kind of wild at your house, honestly, because you kind of live in.
I live basically in the city. Yeah.
And you have so many more turkeys than I see. But I mean, over here
Probably
I have
30.
foxes and stuff, and which is great. But
and bears, we got lots of black bears. There was a black bear in my compost a little bit ago. I mean, not this year because it's winter still, but.
It's soon though. You'll be seeing the black bears real soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the thing is, it's like, it's like some people who are not into plants, it's like they mostly, and I'm like, but do you like animals? Yes, then do plants. I'm like, the things that are the most endangered on the planet are plants, not animals, number one. Number two, the reason that animals go extinct is habitat loss, and guess what habitat is made of?
Plants. Only plants. All plants. Plants everywhere.
That.
So you get more plants, you get more animals, you get more bees, you get more butterflies, whatever, right? Everybody's happy. And the more variety you have, the better. So, and it doesn't have to be a whole lot. That's the thing. Like, a lot of people think it has to be this huge sort of thing. And it's like, even if it's just a little garden patch, right? A little garden patch or a little flower bed of different sorts of things. Because it's one of the reasons that we call suburbia and cities urban deserts is there's just nothing, right? If you're an animal, like a bee, a butterfly, anything like that, to get across the city is almost impossible because there's nothing to eat and nowhere to go in between. So one of the best concepts I've ever heard of are called pollinator pathways.
Oh,
don't you love it?
I love it.
A pollinator pathway is basically what they did is they would in different spots throughout the city is put different patches of like flowers and plants and native plants and things of that nature, but also like buy parts or whole like, abandoned lots or whatever, and just fill them with plants. And so there's at least a way to get across the city,
That's dope. I love that.
BXing. That's actually pretty good. I like that one. Lots of trees in our yard, and we can do 2 kinds of peppers and hoping my lavender regrows. Yeah, it's very good, JD. But yeah, if you do not have a lot of space or a huge yard, or you like your lawn or whatever, like for Ooze's example, is having a flowering tree also does a huge amount.
Yeah.
Right? If that's the thing, because you can get a whole lot out of just a little patio plant, right? That's that's like a lavender or a bee balm or a catmint. Catnip makes so many pretty wonderful blooms and stuff just in pots, and so the stemware is pretty, says Air. So Ooze, do our stream fronds have tweezers? They do. So Daniel and Frankie do the Propagated Podcast. So we're going to do at... make sure I don't spell this like a dumb...
I always spell it wrong. Don't worry. And I own the podcast.
So
Frankie be struggling with propagated spelling sometimes.
One time on the podcast, I spelled it wrong. I was like, P-R-A-P-O.
So P-R-O...
I said it with such confidence, too. I was like, I got this.
So I do need help. It's P-R-O-P-A, right?
Yep.
G-A-T. Okay.
Got it.
All right. So check out their podcast. They talk about all the pranks all the time. And you guys put this out weekly, right?
Bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly.
Yeah.
You're better
We're
than
trying
me.
to get to weekly, but we both have jobs and it costs money to make a podcast. So.
It's very true. It's very true.
Well, I understand this. Ethan and I usually manage. I usually do one stream and I do one podcast. That's mostly what I can manage in a month.
Yeah,
Because
the editing process takes a lot longer than I thought it would.
Editing process takes so much longer.
I am never and probably will never be that technologically adept. So Frankie handles all the editing, which is great of her, but I don't do any of it. So I feel for her on the time spent.
I like it. It's so fun. I love podcasting. It's just the best.
It is a great time. I've enjoyed it a lot.
I will say, Dan, do you want to give your Twitters, or you say you never use it?
I mean, if you'd like to see the empty Twitter that is my Twitter, you can go there. It's at Danklin01. But it is a very rare thing that I use that. I'm not a big social media person in general. It's never been my bit. Yeah, so that's just who I am as a human, unfortunately.
That's
not
okay.
fun, unfortunate. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I'm probably 2 online, so
Everything balanced and equal as it should be. But yeah, no, I would love I'm now, because I actually been doing this stream in part of the American Society of Plant Biologists Plante Fellow, and this will be my last stream as a Plante Fellow for 2020-2021. So I'm still going to keep doing streams and stuff, and I'm hoping to do podcasts more often, but we'll see. I work a lot.
yeah.
We definitely understand that feeling for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but between the 2 D&D games that I run and the 2 I play and the 60-hour a week work, it's fine. It's okay. Welcome to research. Just how it goes sometimes. But... Oh no. Now Air's calling me out. She works a lot, all the lots. Ooze and follow. It's like, don't you call me out in front of God and everyone. How dare you?
I probably only work like 35 hours a week, but it is consumed by nothing but social interaction, which is taxing in and of its own.
God.
In its own way.
I get it. As I said, I've gotten into more of, I'm switching a little bit, because before I was always just basically just in the lab kind of me all the time. Air says, thanks for coming and chatting, Franz. Yay.
Yay.
It was a great time.
Yeah, thank you for having us so much.
But I'm getting into more management kind of things. I'm kind of half and half, and it's a weird experience because I'm like talking to a lot more humans all the time, and I'm just like, I get home and I'm just like,
It's exhausting. It really is.
I don't remember how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I say that I work 35 hours a week, but I haven't in over a year because all the bars have obviously been closed because of COVID. So
Right.
It's definitely going to be interesting to go from the 10 hours a week I've been working lately to back up to 30 to 40 hours a week. Will be an interesting transition to make.
Uzumu says, people, the worst. And I'm like, says the extrovert. Don't even. Don't even. Yeah, Frankie, I forget where do you work again?
Well, I work currently at a screen printing shop. I make t-shirts, but I do mostly like graphic design. That's what my degree is in.
Mm-hmm.
But I recently cut down to part-time so that I can work more on the podcast, and I have a whole bunch of secret projects in the works, and I'm realizing that I like to be my own boss, even though I'm a very strict boss. So I'm trying to transition into more creative projects and that sort of thing.
Ooh,
I'm writing my fantasy novel about plants.
Yay! Ooh, now I'm excited. That's going to be great.
I'm excited about it too. I'm like, okay, I like magic and I like plants. Let's combine this.
Might as well make it work
Perfect.
together.
Perfect. Yeah. I love it. I'm all about this. Shut up and take my money. JD, yeah, I'm about to get a bunch of these tea towels to put away for presents next year. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, we print a lot of towels. Back when I was screen printing for Christmas, I was doing probably like 40 to 50 hours a week, and my wrists still hurt. So I was like, I can't do this full time anymore.
That's how you get carpal tunnel, for sure.
Yeah.
Gotten it, done it, hate it. Don't do it. All right. Is there anything else we want to talk about? Good, wonderful.
What's your favorite houseplant? If you were a plant, what would you be?
Always the question.
It's true. My favorite houseplant is one in particular. It is a zebra hayorthia or hayorthia fasciata named Harriet.
That was more specific than I anticipated.
Yeah.
I love that.
I am a scientist. Well, I got this clone from my mother-in-law, who had gotten a clone from her aunt, who had originally bought the plant in 1953.
Wow.
And it keeps making clones, and I keep giving away the clones to basically all my friends. So
I love that so much.
Right. Because it's still technically the same plant. I adore Harriet. I think I did give that girl with honey Harriet, but I think her cats may have killed a Harriet, but that's okay. I know Pasta has one, Jereka has one. I've sent basically anytime Harriet makes a new clone, which is very very proliferative, just to give it away to someone. Like, have you gotten one yet?
I love that a lot.
If you have an extra, I'll do a plant trade with you for sure.
Yes, I will put this down. I
love my viney plants, so I can send you a clipping anytime.
Okay, I want a pothos really bad.
I've got
you on that one.
3 different kinds. You just let me know.
I'm going to put a note. Ask Daniel for pothos. Because in my plant room it's kind of an attached like 4-season room basically, and it's got like beams across. So what I want to do is actually build a little like kind of like trellis for it to like curl up on, right, and then go across the top because it's got a couple skylights up there, which I think would be really cool. And
I love that.
I'm gonna let it take over the room. I'm okay with it.
Send you a clipping of the Cebu blue. That one is not super common, and it's grows prolifically. Beautiful. It grows so fast.
Yes,
it's one of my favorite pothos for sure.
Cebu blue. Yes. Yeah, I have Harriet is currently working on 2 clones, but I owe one to Ev, who's already in here, and I owe the other one to Dr. Lucas Busta, who is a previous guest on this podcast. But because Harriet makes so many clones,
I love that you have a wait list. That's amazing.
Right. That's really, I am in love with that.
So I'm like, I'm sure that there's some more coming because that's just what this plant does. So I will send a Harriet to Frankie and Danielle for sure. So that one's my specific one because this plant is just so tough because I think when my mother-in-law first got it, like was put like wrapped in like a little wet paper towel and like put in a Ziploc bag and then like put in her car and then like fell under the seat and then was there for like 2 weeks before she remembered it was there, right? Put it in dirt, was fine. You know, it's like I swear this plant can grow with like full sun, no sun, basically.
You gotta love a resilient plant.
Right, gotta forget to water it for a month. It doesn't matter. It looks the same. But they only ever get like the big. Like they're not very big. And so when I gave to one of my good friends, he's like, it's not growing. And I'm just like, hey, you remember how big mine was? It's like, yeah. I'm like, that one's already 10 years old and that's all the bigger it's gotten. So It's fine. Just chill out.
See, I'm kind of the opposite normally with my plants. I like plants that grow fast because I'm impatient, and you're like standard millennial. I don't have like instant gratification. I'm really bad for that. So I love my plants that grow really quick. That's why I love the pothos so much, because they're just like, oh, let me give you 5 feet a year of growth. I love that.
Yeah, that's why I want one though, because most of mine are, as I said, littler, smaller succulents. I have a jade plant that I've been wrestling with forever, which I think Frankie saw my plant shaming video about my jade plant and how floppy and dumb it is. Actually, I'm thinking about actually cutting it off at an internode and then letting it reroot and then repotting and then see and start again. I might start a couple different ones and be like, once I get one, then I can the parent, because it looks terrible.
My roommate loves her jade plants. They're literally all over the house. She has one parent jade, and they're just jades everywhere. All over the house.
All over the house. Love it. Let's see. I like growing pineapples. They've never fruited for me, but they're fun to grow. They're also huge.
They take a long time to fruit.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, because my mother-in-law is like, oh, it should happen within like 3 to 5 years or so. I'm like, yeah, but you live in Florida, you know?
Yeah.
Where the sun is proper.
Yeah.
Although I did
a little bit closer to the equator than I am. I think that your pineapples might be a little happier.
Yeah, that was kind of my feeling on it. Because my one's like 8 years old, and it's still just done nothing but get real big long leaves. But I did get a suggestion from one of my followers on Twitter on adding some different kind of fertilizer, because they said their friend did that and they fruited. So I'm like, all right.
Yeah, try some fertilizer and get yourself a like decent wide spectrum grow light. You can get bulbs for pretty cheap and put it on it, and that'll probably help too.
Okay, wide spectrum grow light. Yep. Yeah, I might be more like you, Daniel, when it comes to like my own like, it's so funny because like before when I was in grad school, like my research plants, I'm like very careful, but like my own personal plants, I'm kind of an undercarer. Where I'm like, hey there.
They all be making it though. My plants are happy, be giving me new growth. I just sometimes forget to water for 2 or 3 weeks.
I have things.
As long as they're not dying, I'm not gonna worry about it.
Like, I have a little reminder on my calendar. Like, hey,
love it.
Don't forget. I just forget that I've like, oh, they should probably need like fertilizer sometime. Whoops. It's fine.
Yeah, I do a monthly fertilizer for most of my plants, but it's if I remember. Honestly.
Yeah, see? I should probably do that too.
We're getting close to when all my plants can go outside and I can have my non-cluttered bedroom back for a little while.
Nice. I had a sago palm that I'd put outside, and it was happy outside, and then a red squirrel about ate all the leaves off of it, and if there's any animal on earth I hate, it's that particular red squirrel.
Just that one.
Just that one.
Yeah.
The one that lives in my gazebo. The one that lives in my
Your
gazebo
nemesis.
and eats my plants. And I'm like, someday your number's gonna be up, buddy.
Just put some citrus around it. Most squirrels don't like citrus.
Yeah, okay, I could try that, because I don't know, because he just about destroyed that plant. I caught him in the act too. There was like one leaf left, and I brought it back in the house, and I'm like, oh, what did ooze say? Oh, would be. I have this amazing hyacinths I found in my natural area. It's so cool and beefy. Yeah, hyacinths are fun, right?
I love a hyacinth.
I mean,
They make me sneeze.
They make Frankie sneeze, but they are pretty.
Yeah, I think it's part of being a florist. Like, after you've handled one kind of plant for so long, your body's like, nope, no more. Like,
no more.
Eucalyptus makes me break out now
Really?
because I handled so much of it. Yeah.
I hate
It's
that.
just-
I love eucalyptus.
I know. It smells so good. But yeah.
Dang.
And every spring it was just like, hyacinths. right here in your face.
If you don't know the story, like the Greek mythology behind a hyacinth, you should look it up because it's really cute. It's a cute story.
Do we have time for that story, or?
I mean, I can give an abbreviated version of it.
Sure.
It's kind of, I mean, it's just a sweet thing. Hyacinth was apparently an Apollo creation.
Mm-hmm.
Apollo had a lover,
Mm-hmm.
and they would meet up and do like things together all the time. And Apollo would take his lover around and show them all of the sacred places that Apollo like held dear. And one time they went to an Olympic game together, and his lover got hit in the head with a discus. And although Apollo was said to be somebody who could heal people, there was no way he could heal his lover. The wound was too bad. And so because Apollo loved them so much, he didn't want them to go under the control of Hades, didn't want them to go into like Tartarus or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So they made it to where anywhere the blood touched, hyacinth grew. And the spirit of his lover was always in the hyacinth flower. It's like a cute little love story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of folklore on Propagated. We like the folklore.
I'm okay with it. I like this brand. Ooze. Aww.
So cute.
Aww. So cute.
Ethan, give me lavender forever. I did. We have 3 lavender plants. Or 4. I don't remember. I planted a lot
I love
for you.
Lavender's so good. Love lavender.
Smells so good. And it always has cute little bees on it. Like every time I go out, there's a little bee on my lavender plant. And I'm like, hello, good morning.
Yeah.
What country is it that has the giant lavender fields?
Ooh.
Just like rolling fields of lavender. I can't remember where it is though.
Shoot.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I know
there's
exactly
some in
what
New
you're talking
Mexico.
About, lavender farm dreams. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we have up here. It's the they call it. It's not ground ivy. They call it like the false ground ivy, but they also call it creeping Charlie. And our neighbor wants us to get rid of the patch that's near his yard, but the bees love it so much. So I've just been kind of like, yeah, sure, and just not doing it. And then just sort of keeping it controlled where it's like, as long as you stay in this patch right here. and then I will not have to get rid of you. But you can't go over to the neighbor's yard because he'll be angry. Back to the have to have the perfect lawn.
Ugh, gross.
Yep, indeed. Ooze, this makes it even better. I have 2 different color hyacinth plants together now, which is good. Yes. Lavender farms are huge in the Pacific Northwest, apparently.
Okay.
So
field trip.
Yeah, right. Field trip.
Let's go.
We'll go now. Actually, we'll go after the pandemic, but yeah. I'm ready to do a plant trip. I'm ready to go to Asheville and do a plant road trip, and then run around a botanical garden and bore everyone. But I mean, bore me just talk a whole bunch. Alrighty, well, that's getting all I had. It was so fun to chat with you all.
Yeah, it was such a good time. Thanks so much.
We'll have to have you on the podcast.
Oh, yeah. I'd love that. Sure.
Yeah.
Just tell me when, and we'll figure it out. I'm around.
Love that.
But yeah, when I listened to your first episode about chestnut blights and some of the other stuff, I was like, oh my god, because I went to a conference 2 years ago, and sorry, it all blurs together. But I actually talked with a lot of the people who were when you were talking about the blights on grapevines and stuff. I was actually talking with some of the people from the institute that figured that out and how to treat that, right? And that was up in Oregon State, right? And they work on that sort of thing. And so because of that, I was like low-key freaking out, nerding out while I was listening to your podcast, doing like, I need to send them this stuff. I need to send them this stuff. They're going to love it. And then and then folks who work on trying to figure out how to bring the American chestnut back. And
fingers crossed, one day.
Beautiful trees. They're close. They have gotten permission from the USDA to plant the engineered ones. Yep.
Oh, that's new. I didn't know that. That's fun.
Yep.
I love that.
Ooh, we have to. Oh, I have to look into this.
Yep.
Yay!
And so, if you look at the American Chestnut Foundation website, like it's a small like area, right? Like sort of local, kind of small scale, but they're getting there. But yeah, it took a while because I think they've been working on that for 20 years now.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's definitely been a long time coming.
Yeah. Because guess what? Making transgenic trees takes a long time.
I'm not surprised.
Because there's a reason where it's like, everyone's like, why don't we have these? And I'm like, well, because the first generation of one experiment takes 7 years to propagate on like poplar trees, which are fast.
Right.
So you can only imagine. But yep, so I'm super excited about it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having us today. We'll have to chat again soon.
No,
Such a good time. This was great.
I'm
nice
so glad.
to meet everybody
Thanks for
new
coming.
and chat.
Yep,
yeah.
Thank you. And we had such a nice chat. Thanks, Chad, for being here always. Yeah. I'll be back next month sometime doing some nonsense, probably. I am hoping to get a medical professional, although they've been very busy, to talk about the vaccine and how it works and different parts of that nature. I'm going to talk about the biochemistry, biology, that kind of stuff. And then they can talk about, if you have other questions on like how it works and when you get it and how your body interacts and all that other stuff. But unfortunately, most of the medical professionals I know on medical doctor sides have been really busy lately. Wonder why that is.
Yeah.
So surprising.
So surprising. Yep. I did try to get a friend of a friend who's currently doing her postdoc. She spent her PhD studying coronaviruses. But she is also super busy right now. At a research hospital, so maybe someday, but that's what I'll try. Otherwise, if we can't make that work, I'll figure out something else. Just tweet at me if you got a question or a theme that you would like us to talk about, and that's what we'll do. All right.
Cool. Thank you.
Goodbye, folks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Happy Pi Day. Bye.
Happy Pi Day.